Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is the 58 Keys Writing Workshop set of videos. You're a writer, I'm a writer. I tell you how I happen to write something, how I happen to do something, and then you please tell me in the comments how you do it, particularly if yours is different, if your method is different, if your method is better, if you just basically disagree with me. It is absolutely essential. This has to be a conversation. Otherwise, I already know what I was going to say. Why couldn't I just be off saying it to myself with a cup of tea? Want to have a chat? Writer to writer, and okay, at the same time it means we put off the writing a little bit. Writers are the people who tend to put off the writing a little bit. I don't know why we do that. Anyway, this time, how to cheat your way to a novel. I've done a piece before on 58 Keys. There's over 50 of these now. If you search in the playlist, I'll put a link to this. I've done one about why AI is pointless for us as writers, at least as a writing tool. AI, write my great American novel. I don't know why I said American there when I'm British, but you know, any of that, yeah, bollocks, don't want it. But you can find that writing a novel is daunting because it's a lot of words. I call it 80,000 words. There's disagreement. It could be higher, it could be lower. Short story, novella, novel. Okay, we'll call it that. Some novels are just hundreds of thousands of words long. At least 100,000 pages, or maybe you don't just feel like it. Others are divided up into series, yeah, whatever. The amount varies, but the consistent thing is a novel is a hell of a chunk of words to write, and it's daunting to start. It's hard to hold it all in your head. I think really hard. Because, I mean, you know, we read novels a lot and we understand them and we enjoy them. Great. When you're writing them, there's so much under the surface for it to make that work. The mechanics of it. Trying to keep all of that in your head all of the time is difficult enough to be daunting. And yet we press on, and we want to press on because we want to have written a novel. That's got to be it sometimes. We just want to have done it. Other times, the story we're telling needs a novel. I believe that I'm kind of a believer that an idea belongs in the medium you first think of it for it. So if I have an idea for a theatre play, that is not a novel. If I think of a novel, it's probably not a radio play. I mean, I'm less fixed on that as I used to be, but you set out with this idea to tell a novel, tell a story in a novel, but it's a lot of words. Short version of this is, yeah, get on with it. But I did say cheat, and I've done this myself, and it worked out to a certain degree. I got an agent because of this. I got a lot of interest from a publisher on this, and then it all vanished like these things so often do. But this is the cheat. Rather than writing a novel, you write a whole series of short stories that are in some way linked. I think there's actually a name for this, and I've blanked on it, but the famous example I know is Ray Bradbury. His book originally published as The Silver Locusts, but now infinitely better known as The Martian Chronicles. I read that book, and it's absorbing and gorgeous, and I mean beautiful actually. Some of his descriptions, rocket summer and things like this, I mean vivid in my head from it. But after I read it, I found out he'd written every chapter, pretty much every chapter, as a separate short story over some great number of years. And they're all published in the various science fiction magazines of his day. And then he collated them all, and he did a bit of twiddling, tiny bit. And then he just kind of wrote some bridges between them. And then, ta-da, he had a novel. I tried exactly that-ish. No, I went further. Let's go. I'm going to tell you this. I might as well tell you. When I first tried writing a novel, I was, as it happens, also writing for BBC's CFAX. I mean, I was on BBC News, I was on radio, doing all sorts of things at the same time, but I wrote 16,000 pages of BBC CFAX. It's a teletext service. You're looking at me blankly now. It was this thing that used to be on your TV before the internet. You'd be watching something boring, you press a button, and there was a page full of text, and you could choose to read the news, puzzles, also, I mean, hundreds of things for it. Well, what happened was that every page was a maximum of about 70 words, and there were technical constraints, there were editorial constraints. I was writing really, really tight copy. I mean, when Twitter came along, easy. I was fixated throughout the day writing really tight copy, and then in the evening I was trying to write a novel, and I couldn't make that difference. So I wrote an epistolic novel. I wrote a novel that was entirely based on emails back and forth between people. Well, it starts out as emails, and then you have text messages and a couple of other things along the way, but all short form, all that kind of stuff. Now, more recently, J.K. Rowling, Robert Galbraith, did that extensively in her strike novel, The Ink Black Heart, and I found it really tedious. I don't know what it is. Maybe also just that my eyes were getting... I'm an older man now. My eyes were getting old, so I was trying to go in the paperback, the hardback I got, and also in the ebook. But I liked my version of it. Yeah, I'm not going to go back and read it again. But the thing is, each individual one had to be on its own. Each one was tight. And I was doing lots of jokes with headers and footers and emails. It used to be this thing that you'd have a footnote on your emails with a happy quote from someone. Well, I played with that. And a lot of things turned on the fact that it was mostly text emails, so you didn't really know who was talking at the other end. Yeah, all I thought good stuff, but the point of telling you about this today is I really should reread it again, is actually that it was, I mean, how many would it have been? I got to something like 80,000 words for it. I mean, several hundred of these little tiny bitty sections, but it became a novel. And like I say, it did really well for me in the sense that it got me an agent, who I still have. It got me a heavy interest. I mean, I had really big, serious meetings with a very big publisher, and I don't still have that. That just went away. I'm not upset. It's a long time ago. I am still upset, even though it was a long time ago. But it also did this. It kind of unblocked me. It showed me that I could write novel-length fiction. Good or bad, cheat or not, I'd broken through it and I'd completed a novel-length manuscript. I have never gone back to that slice, that kind of cheating thing before, but I also feel like, well, mostly because the stories I'm trying to tell don't need it and wouldn't work with it, but I don't need it anymore. So take a look. Well, you can't read mine, and I wouldn't recommend it anyway, but you can read Ray Bradbury's, and there are other examples. I'm sure, in fact, actually, that's something you could definitely tell me about in the comments. Examples of this that you've come across, examples of this that you've done, that'd be good too. Let's have a chat in the comments about cheating our way to a novel length thing. Flash fiction. How many flash fictions? That sounds like a joke, doesn't it? How many flash fictions does it take to make a novel? Let's not go there. Instead, let's go write something. Let's go have a cup of tea, have a chat in the comments, and talk things through writer to writer. And in the meantime, thank you very much for watching this. Take care of yourself, hey? It's important. Write more, and I'll see you soon.